Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
Oh, man. Here we go, man.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker. Still, boom. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in, welcome in. So y'all know how Mondays go. Mondays, whether we win, whether we lose, a lot of emotion. Mostly we're talking about the emotions of the game. Tuesday, we discussed what we saw on film. So we talk about, man. Then we're going to move it along. We got Sky Optics today. We got Sky Optics on offense, Sky Optics on defense. We're going to dive into the details of what I saw on the tape. Plus, in the roundup, sounds like we got good news, right? We got good news on Zack Martin, so we'll discuss that, what they're saying down there at the Star. And then the coaches, they had some conversation yesterday. They came out and they spoke, right? And we kind of got some inside information on a particular turning point of the game. So we'll touch on that, and then we'll listen to Dan Quinn a little bit later. But first, What do I come on here and say every week? There is no such thing as an easy game. This is the National Football League. 1 week at a time. Oh, no. You want to dock dubs and losses and dubs and wins and... Okay. You take these teams for granted if you want. Y'all, did y'all check out the playoffs? If you happen to go to sleep last night early because you had work in the morning and you just don't know what's going on, you wake up and you say, Cowboys are in second place still in the NFC. How did that happen? Well, I'll tell you how it happened, Cowboys Nation. The Philadelphia Eagles, frauds, went on the road to Seattle and took an L. They didn't just take an L. They took an L to Drew Lock in week 15 of the season, a must-win type of game. I mean, yeah, really, but, you got to win these games. They took an L to Drew Lock. And, before the game, this is the annoying part. A couple days before the game, really. Man, Jalen Hurts, he's sick. He has the flu. He's got to toughen it out. We're going to give him some IVs, some Pedialyte, some Tylenol. He's going to go out there. He's going to toughen it out. We'll see what happens. So building this thing up like, man, Hurts might go out there and have this all-world performance. Right before the game in the pregame show, Lisa Salters, man, I cannot believe it, man. Jalen Hurts is coming in and look at him. He's got his headphones on. They isolated him from the team. They don't want to get the rest of the guys sick. He's out there wearing his Michael Jordan gear. Does that mean he's going to have a flu game? Before I move on, Dak Prescott had the flu a couple weeks ago against Seattle. Ain't nobody say a word about it. Jalen Hurts rolls up into some Michael Jordan, gear, and they say he's going to have a flu. This is what they said. His flu. Oh boy! Hey, let me tell you, they frying him up today, y'all. Or last night, they frying him up. They said his Jordan game was the Wizards. Oh Lord, we're not done.
But wait, there's more.
We're not done. Did you happen to see his stat line, chat? Not just his stat line. Him and Drew. Ain't that what he did? That's kind of dope. I ain't gonna hold you. That's kind of hard. Drew Lock. He got outplayed by Drew Lock. 22 of 33, 208 yards. Game-winning touchdown. Jalen Hurts goes 17 for 31 in his flu game. $143. 0 touchdowns. And don't let the 2 fool you, because you know what that 2 is? That's 2 game-losing interceptions in one game. How's that possible, Scott? Well, because if he doesn't throw an interception the first time, they probably get a field goal or something. Then they have a chance to go down there and tie it up. Only need like 15 yards. My guy throws another YOLO ball. It's another YOLO ball. Pick. I better see some things burning on that, that one show, but hey. And no, I don't give a damn about his tush push touchdowns. His cheek sneaks. Somebody called it the colonoscopy scoop. I don't care about that, man. I don't care about that. So you got outplayed by Drew Lock. And immediately I said, my man got outplayed by Drew Lock. I got to bring this one back. Cowboys Nation. Hold on. One time for the one time. Just bear with me here.
Send them running straight back to the dealership. Me, I'm in my spaceship. That's right, I work for NASA. This FNH is not a fraud. Call that my bodyguard. Call that the bodyguard.
Yeah, that's my bodyguard.
Wear a lot of jewelry. Young don't do security. What's whiter than a napkin?
Harder than a dinner plate.
If you want it, come and get it. You know I stay super straight.
Come on, man. Stop playing with Drew. You better stop playing with Drew out there in Seattle, Jalen. Give a damn about your cheek sneaks, your flu game. Drew said, I'm from the gutter. But they want to talk about he the MVP. Man, let me calm back down. Yeah, Drizzy Lock. Mm-hmm. Oh, y'all thought.
But wait, there's more.
Hold up, man. Shouts out to my guy Tuck, man. I get tagged in this in the morning. Jay Tuck. Just this Jalen Hurts film study. Y'all take a listen to this.
What are you doing? Get open there. What are you talking about? We was open. Man, I know what I'm doing. I'm a Pro Bowl All-National Flag Football Heisman winner.
But cheap sneak MVP.
Hit. What the? Man, what are you doing? It was a pass play. Damn block, man. Damn. Hit. What y'all doing? Run.
We know you gonna run.
We already know you gonna run it anyways. No, I don't run it every. Hit.
Oh, God.
What? Damn! Why you throwing it so hard for? Catch the ball! Then what you mean? I'm just right here. You didn't have to throw it that hard. Hit! Oh, what the fuck? Oh, I'm right here. Why'd you throw it like that? There's nobody even on.
I quit. I'm done. Oh, I needed that, you know? Boy, that was an entertaining game, man. Man, get you out of here, man. What an entertaining game. What an entertaining game. I mean, at one point, he threw the second pick or something happened. And I did the Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, there it is. Woke my wife up. But it was so funny because you know this team is trash, man. And the reason why? Well, why are you going in like this?
You shouldn't have been talking shit.
Shouldn't have been talking shit. You got a whole game to play on the road. You ain't been playing well. You just got skunked twice. And you got these media, fake media analysts and these fans out there running their gums. Like they didn't have to go play the next day. Well,
you shouldn't have been talking shit.
That's what happens, man. I have no sympathy. Zero. I give damn he's out there playing with the flu. So was we. Nobody cares. All right, man. That was fun. I had to. I couldn't waste that opportunity. Hilarious. They say misery loves company. Well, get comfy. I was miserable Sunday from the loss. Not really, but whatever. We lost, right? Come on. Come have a seat right next to us. Indeed. Let's get into this roundup and talk some actual Cowboy football. Hope that gave y'all a little laugh.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Feel a little better now. Keep a little bit of that in you, because we're about to talk about this blowout we done suffered. Anyway, good news though. Zack Martin might play on Sunday. I'm still a little skeptical, I ain't gonna lie to you, but the way they're talking about it now compared to when he had suffered this injury, I think back in week 3 or whatever it was, against the Arizona Cardinals. Well, before the Cardinals. I think he suffered it in practice or something, or it might have been in the game. I don't know. But he had been dealing with this quad situation. It might have even been after that. My apologies, Cowboys Nation. I'm still cracking up. But anyway, so he has this thigh bruise, right? His quad bruise, I think is what it is. And initially, I thought he might miss this game, but Stephen Jones and Mike McCarthy seem to think otherwise right now as we speak here on Tuesday. Stephen said, there's no one I would count on more to answer the bell and have an opportunity to play next week. It's certainly something he couldn't play through last night, but we feel good that he'll respond to our trainers, who will give him every opportunity to play against the Dolphins. McCarthy said he'll definitely have a chance to play this week. We've heard Mike, right? Like we've heard Mike say similar things before. We've heard Mike kind of try to stay on the fence. He usually errs on the side of caution, but the whole he'll definitely have a chance to play this week. I think he said it with a bit more confidence than normal. And honestly, we're going to need him. The Dolphins present a different type of challenge, and we'll get into the film of that tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week, actually, and maybe even today over on Botcha, so we'll see. So that's good news. Zach's injury isn't as bad as it could be, and he might even play for a very important game in regards to standings for the Cowboys. Mondays not only are for the emotions of the game, win or lose for us, but they're also for the assistant coaches, mostly the coordinators, to come out on the podium and speak and give their spiel. And we'll actually listen to Dan here in a second. But we got some insight on one of the things that happened the other day. And yesterday, before they spoke, I was wondering if Bones Fossil went rogue and made the decision on his own to call the block punt because we saw Mike McCarthy kind of chewing out Fossil on the sideline, right? Well, it was a rogue call. Fossil essentially admitted it was a one-man block call. Dallas had a full-on return call, so it wasn't like everybody else was a part of this. It was, hey, Sam, go get the rock. And Fossil didn't let Mike know, and Fossil said that wasn't a decision for him to make, and I completely agree, right? If you guys remember in 2020, Fossil was doing a lot of rogue stuff, and it was more misses than it was hits, and it got him in trouble. Now, we welcomed it because it was different, right? We needed a shakeup at the special teams position. Special teams got better. We executed some trick plays. We didn't execute some trick plays. We got some blocks, didn't get some blocks. But it had to calm it down a little bit. And since then, it has been calmed down and we haven't had any issues, right? I agree with Mike. You need to run that by me. Like you've been running it by me for the most part, right? And you could say, well, it was a good call. He just didn't execute. Well, that's the problem. If you run it by me, I say, well, who's the one man? Hey, coach, we're thinking about running this one-man block. Well, just like anything, I need to know who's the one man. Sam Williams. No. Not Sam Williams. Why not, coach? You got a block earlier. No. Sam Williams isn't the most disciplined guy we got on this team. What do you mean, coach? Well, he's got the second most special teams penalties in the National Football League. He's not really a special teams player. He's playing special teams now. But he ain't really a special. He don't understand it like that. So what happens? They call the one-man block. He beats his guy, gets back there, and you would think he was at get air. Sam was playing slam ball. See, a seasoned special teamer, a disciplined special teamer, a guy who's been doing this for a long time knows to dive at the foot. Sam jumps straight up in the air, misses it, and gets the 15-yard penalty. Next thing you know, they go down and score. So I am 100% with Mike McCarthy. Run that by me. Because then I can ask the questions that need to be asked. Who's the guy you're calling? Sam? Nope. Let's run punt safe. Let's see if Turpin can get us 15 extra yards. And now we got amazing field position. Even if they just punt it, we got good field position. Wasn't a game, in my opinion, where you could afford that. And the risk outweighed the reward in that one. You understand where I'm coming from, Cowboys Nation, on this one? You got to run that stuff by your coach. Because it seems like that's what you have been doing throughout the last 3 seasons. There wasn't this miscommunication because we understand the hierarchy. And it's going to happen. I'm not going to hold this against Bones. This doesn't mean that I'm out on Bones or anything like that. Hey, stuff happens for sure. He's been a fantastic special teams coach. He's responsible for Turpin. He's responsible for Brandon Aubrey and some of the good things that have happened on special teams, right? So this is just, again, titled this show, Learn and Adjust. It's one thing that Bones, I thought I got a little bit too much dip on my chip on that one. A little bit too much sauce. I was feeling myself a little bit there. Right? I don't want to micromanage. I don't think Mike wants to micromanage Bars. But in a hostile environment like this, yeah, I think that should be ran by me. Sam was testing his Jordans. Yeah. Very possible. Bones wasn't the only one that spoke yesterday, Cowboys Nation. All the coaches came out and spoke. And if we're being completely honest in this one, I think the coach that we most wanted to hear from was Dan Quinn. Right? We wanted to hear from Dan Quinn because let's just be honest, he's on a, I don't want to say hot seat of firing or anything like that, but the heat from Cowboys Nation and let's be honest, people in that building. It's like, hey Dan, what are the answers to these things that are ailing us? In 3 of the 4 losses, you've given up over 160 rush yards, right? I'll even give you a pass in San Fran because you shut down CMC for the most part. It was the backup who gassed you a little bit at the end of that game, and Deebo Samuel's got a couple runs. But in 2 of them losses, it was just downright awful. I don't know how many top-tier defenses get 250 rush yards on them multiple times in the season. And now you're about to play a couple other running teams. So we got to figure that out. So they were asking him a lot of questions. He tried to start off the whole press conference with, hey, I know you're probably going to ask me about home and away and the difference and things like that. And he said, it really doesn't matter if we play at home, away, on Jupiter and Mars, on the street, on pavement. It doesn't matter. We got to be better at tackling. And when we look at my Sky Optics, that's the number one thing. But I'll let Dan Quinn talk to you guys about his takeaways from the game.
The biggest impact this game was our tackling and our ball hawking. And we're excellent at those 2 things, and we had a poor performance in both. We had one forced fumble that we thought we got out, didn't get a recovery, but just our tackling, wasn't up to the standard we've set. That is our secret sauce, our tackling and our ball hawking, and we didn't have it. And that has nothing to do with home, away, turf, or grass, open air or dome, east, west, night, day, Saturn, Mars. Like, you got to have those 2 things down, man. And anytime we go, we get it on in that way, and I'm awful proud of our group. So to not have a performance that included those 2 things at our best, that was disappointing. And so we got real standards for those. And when we don't meet them, that part stings. And I thought that was the biggest impact in the game for us. And all that said, let's get it rocking with you guys.
He'd go on to say, kudos to our players for setting that standard. True, right? They did set that standard. The Cowboys, I think, went into that game per PFR, if not at the bottom, when I say bottom, let me say this, at the top, close to the top, and least tackles missed on the season. They came out of that game. And let's go right into it. My Sky Optics. They came out of that game missing at least 14 tackles, I think it was. I think they got documented 13, depending where you go and look. Anywhere between 12 and 14 tackles. That is the most tackles missed, I think, in the last couple of seasons. So, in one essence, like, he's right. The Cowboys' tackling was extremely poor, and that played a major factor in the run defense. However, I'd also argue the second thing here. Playing a nickel package versus their big sets stunk. It absolutely stunk. And that's something that I think we're going to run into if teams decide to do that. Give me a second, Cowboys Nation. Got a surprise for y'all. One second. Keep talking though. But playing that big nickel against these big sets, I don't think it's going to work against teams that want to just run the ball on you. We talk about complementary football. Look, I know this is going to sound really crazy. I know it's going to sound really crazy. And I'm going to need y'all to talk. I'm going to need y'all to say, Sky, you sound like an idiot. Don't say that. Don't say that. Just say, Sky, you wrong if I'm wrong. Are we relying a little bit too much on complementary football? Follow me. Follow me for a second. And this is off the top. I just was thinking about this as I wrote down complementary football because I was thinking about losses or turnovers, right? I was thinking how, man, every time we lose, we really don't generate a single turnover. At the same time, outside of that Eagles game, we also aren't scoring a bunch of touchdowns on offense. So in these losses, it's not even one side or the other complimenting the other side. You know what I'm saying? It's not the defense carrying it and then the offense finishes it off. It's not the offense carrying it and the defense finishes it off. So I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm talking to y'all. If it's not complimentary football in that day, if the defense isn't doing something, if the offense isn't doing something, is that pretty much almost a guaranteed damn loss? I mean, I get it, the Seahawks happen, and I know we're on the road, so I'm just talking this out, just thinking out loud. I go look at, I hate to use the 49ers. 49ers give up like damn near 30 points against the Cardinals, and they still blew them out. Let's be honest, wasn't much complimentary football in that game if you're talking about your defense shutting them down completely, but your offense put up 40-something, so it doesn't really matter. I guess you could say that's the Seahawks game for the Cowboys. But I don't know. It just feels we're way too reliant on, all right, defense is struggling early on. We need you to save us offense. Offense is struggling early on. We need you to save us defense, as opposed to defense balling. It's kind of like, hey, we just getting by. Come on, save us. Or the offense is balling, or we just getting by. Come on, defense, do something. Here's the stick. Do something. I get complimentary football as a thing. It's 100% a thing. But are we too reliant on that? I don't know. Just talking out loud, man. Just trying to figure this thing out with y'all. Especially on the road. Yeah, Sky, that's the problem. I don't even know. I'm just talking. I don't even know if it's a problem. It just seems like every single time, or 3 out of the 4 at least, we lose. It's like none of the units are playing at the top of their game. None of them. No, man. But you know who I want to talk to about this? Got a little nervous. I didn't think he was going to call in on it. I didn't know he was going to do it. Let's talk to our girl, man. To Aisha. Hey. What's up?
What's up, twin?
How you doing?
Everybody.
Look, we finally get our 2-eye in the sky 15 weeks later. I mean, come on now. What are we doing here? Like,
Please. Listen, Sky, when I retired from the military, I retired from waking up early.
I know.
You understand me?
I remember you told me that. I said, she don't like the mornings.
I catch up. But another thing, too, Sky, and I'm going to be real with you, bro. Like, we think alike so much that I can't watch you sometimes, bro, when I'm doing my evaluation. I can't watch you. I can't watch you until I'm done with my film breakdown and my stuff, because a lot of our mind thinks, you know how it is.
No, I get it. 100%. There's times where I have to do my own thing first before hearing my peers in this community, so I can make sure I got my own thoughts about it, and then I listen and be like, okay, cool, they seeing the same thing. I go, okay, they seeing it differently. What are they seeing differently? Let me go check. I feel
Absolutely.
you, so I feel you.
I check you out. Most of the time I catch you in the mornings and I listen and stuff, but sometimes I'll be like right after games and stuff, I'll be like, let me get my own thoughts, because he gonna have every feeling that I had.
Well, let's talk about your own thoughts, coming out that game. We, everybody in this community, we usually talk to each other about, what's happening in the locker room, and for those who are down there or on the field. And, I saw you on Twitter saying this sucks to watch the film. This absolutely sucks. And we're talking about what we saw on the film today. And we opened up the show with Dan Quinn talking about the tackling. That was the obvious part, though, right? I understood that the tackling was bad. but it looked like the fits were bad too. It looked like personnel packaging. It just looked all bad. What did you see defensively that kind of irked you?
I think what bothered me the most, I mean, obviously, start of that game, it was interesting to me because I was wondering, I was surprised that we didn't take the ball.
Yeah, no turnovers.
I just thought, I was curious about that because, and Mike McCarthy talked about it. He talked about it yesterday in his presser. He was like, actually, pretty much up into the game, I wanted to take the ball. And he said some things changed or whatever because Dak said something to me, and he was right. He said they won with the formula. Very similar formula to kind of what we try to look for is let's get up early, and then our pass rush can get after it. And so I felt like with this Buffalo team and some of the things that you've been looking for, obviously you knew that Josh Allen has the ability to turn over the ball, and you just never put them in positions to have to throw the ball like that, really.
Sure.
And so for me, I feel like a lot of the game plan was salted away when they went up 2 scores. And when you talk about the defense, Doug, but when you talk about the defense.
So when you were talking about taking the ball, you meant literally taking the ball to start the game. So them deferring and giving them the rock.
Yes, because I thought, again, one of the Cowboys' formulas is to obviously go score, go get up early, your pass rush can get after it, blah, blah, blah. They flipped the script on us, and they did that to us. Because, they did that to the Cowboys, rather, because that was one of the reasons why, too, defensively, I think you saw some of that stuff that you saw where it was like, Doug.
I never fake the funk about this too. When it comes to deferring or taking the ball, I think it's very fluid. I do think it's opponent. It depends on your opponent, depends where you're at, whatnot. And I know this is extremely hindsight, but just trying to be practical about it. On the road, I think I'm with you here. I want to give my team the rock because what we do best is we play ahead. Let's just keep it a bean. That's just what we do. Yeah. So if that means I have to potentially give up an opportunity, for a double dip, then it is what it is because the double dip doesn't outweigh us playing ahead. You understand? If that makes sense? Like, I feel like...
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like you getting a chance to double dip on the road, the odds of you scoring twice are very slim against a defense that is pretty good at home as opposed to, hey, let's get out there. We get the rock first. We got a clean first 15. Let's go down there and score, and now we put them on their heels. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think they should have took it.
Yeah, no, but in regard to what you were talking about with the defense and some of the tackling, I mean, listen to Dan Quinn's presser yesterday, and again, to your point, some of the fronts were weird. They caught the Cowboys in smaller packages quite a few times. Tackling was bad, angles were bad. There also too. They used the Cowboys' defense's aggressiveness against them. There were just several times where I watched James Cook be so patient and just letting the Cowboys defenders basically run themselves out of the play.
Yeah.
With their speed, they were either overly aggressive, getting upfield too fast, and they literally just took what the defense gave them, and as far as, okay, well, if you're going to take this bad angle, dog, I'm going to make you pay, dog. If you're going to shoot the wrong gap, I'm going to make you pay. If you're out of position, I'm going to make you pay. And it was a lot of guys obviously, again, we can talk about the scheme and stuff like that, and I think that played a role in it. But I also do think that a lot of those gentlemen just weren't playing for their brother. They weren't playing for the person next to them because ain't no way that you are in a C gap and you supposed to be in the A gap right now. This is crazy. So it was It's
interesting you say that because going into this game, I was like, hey, Joe Brady is going to test your discipline, right? Like he's going to make you have to be disciplined with his scheme. But in reality, what happened here is Joe Brady just ended up playing smash mouth football, and what they ended up doing was testing your football discipline. Can you buckle down? Can you put your weight behind the tackle? Can you can you be in the right gap when you need to be? They didn't really test your eye discipline like I thought they were going to do. They said, can you handle this? Or are you going to ankle tackle? Or are you going to be a little hesitant to stick your nose in there against a pulling guard? Or are you going to be able to wrap up James Cook, who was cooking at that second level? And they just weren't. They were extremely undisciplined at that second level. So, that was a little different and concerning because usually we see teams run on the Cowboys. It's with the eyes. They're in the wrong gap. They get turned. And this one was that a little bit, right? Like they weren't in the right gaps, but it was also you just got manhandled at the second level and you just got worked with football basics and it didn't work out for you.
Yeah, man. The linebackers really struggled this game. But I can be honest, when you be honest with it and you look at it for what it is, I mean, I don't think the defensive line put them in advantageous situations.
Sure.
It was again, to your point, when I looked at the Buffalo Bills offensive line, I knew they were capable. I mean, because clearly you've been seeing them the last couple of weeks. Like I knew they were capable of running the ball. I didn't think they were. I'm just being straight up with you. I didn't expect for them to come out and run the ball like that.
Micah said that.
Where they just I mean, they just overpower. And again, like when you start talking about size and those things of that nature, like I mean, their offensive line is considerably bigger than the Cowboys' defensive line. And I know mention people. I would be hard pressed not to mention Hankins because don't get me wrong, we did clearly a lot of the issues came from the edge and things guys not setting the edge, not containing or whatever the case may be. But Jonathan Hankins being there, not being there does make a difference, man. because of what he's asked to do as a two-gapper and holding up double teams and funneling guys to those edges so they can have time to get there.
Yes. And
I do think you missed his presence, and I don't know, man. I'm gonna take a look at it. Maybe it is gonna take a few games or whatever the case may be for them to adjust because it is. And it's crazy. I don't know who mentioned it to me yesterday, but they was like, "Yo, this time last year the Cowboys lost Hankins, and we were going through the same thing." I'm like, bro, I ain't got time for this. I don't have time to be going through this again. So some adjustments have to be made to me, Doug. Like, I think you mentioned it yesterday. Is like we just can't ignore that in some of these big games, especially with teams that can run the rock. I ain't got my notes in front of me, but you've given up like 120 plus on the ground to some of the best rushing teams that you've played this season, and it's alarming. It is. It's alarming, and as far as the road and stuff, Doug, like I think some of the mentality and stuff has something to do with it. But I think yesterday a lot of the game plan just went to crap after you went down 2 scores, especially offensively.
Yeah, let's if you got time, I can get to my Sky Optics on offense, and we can rap a little bit about some of the notes. All right, let's do it. Let's get to my Sky Optics. I got a lot of things here for the offense, so we gonna go down the list here. Let's start off with I have here stagnant stints, and what I mean by that is I didn't know the numbers till after I went and looked them up on the offensive motion. Pre-snap motion, at snap motion, but I could tell right off the bat by just watching it was not nearly the same as it's been over the last 2 months of the season. That was one of the things that coming out of week 5, I think it was, against San Francisco 49ers, we were like, hey man, we need to go back to the offense that we saw in training camp where these guys were moving and motioning and all that stuff. Well, the numbers came out too high, and those numbers show that it was the lowest usage of motion since the San Francisco 49ers game. And it matched up with our eyes, right? And I thought that was major because you're playing against a defensive scheme that you need to get some tells. You need to make these guys think. The fact that you were so stagnant, they could easily play that zone, which they played well. We talked about this last week leading up to the breakdown. They play it well. Now they don't have to think. They don't have to. They're not confused. There's no chaos. How many times do we talk about, causing chaos, creative chaos? There's none of that. They can just say, okay, your guys are lined up here. Yeah. This is 3-by-1. I know where I got to be. And they played it well. And one more thing before I get your opinion on it. What came with that was Buffalo was able to keep the numbers advantage. What I mean by keep the numbers advantage, Cowboys Nation, is again, we know they play the zone. We know it's not uncommon to see teams drop 7 in a vision defense. But when you're not moving and you're not motioning, when you're not moving and you're not motioning, these guys can sit here and see, like I said, 2x2, 3x1. Okay, I know where I need to be in my depth. I'm not worried about a random dude coming, flashing, motioning and flashing in front of me, and now it's tripping me up. We see that happen with the Eagles. So they would drop sometimes 4 guys on one side, and we try to run that vertical flood that was successful against the Eagles. But the problem is you didn't have the numbers. So they played the intermediate and deep game extremely well, and we just weren't. It felt like we kind of tried to pack the same exact thing we did from a concept, advantage point last week into this game, but this defense was much better, and we didn't really counter what they were doing. So that's kind of what I saw from the stagnant stints and the numbers advantage that Buffalo had.
Yeah, man. When you play against a team that plays shell like that, dog, when you have shots, you got to take them and you got to be successful. To me, the Cowboys never did anything. Number one, they weren't on the field long enough and didn't have enough time. But they never did anything to dictate the defense. They never did anything to make them have to get out of that too high shell. Like clearly, it allowed them, because I thought, and Dak mentioned it in his presser, missing Brandon Cooks on that TD to start the game was huge.
It was huge
because to me, I didn't mind that. I didn't mind the play because it's aggressive and it's trying to show them like, hey man, if you're gonna do this, we're gonna split it. If you're gonna do this, we're gonna make you pay downfield. And I think that was an attempt to get them out of that aggressive, playing with everything in front of them situation. And from there, it was like, okay, well, what you going to do next time? I think they got something going on the ground, and then you get the hold by 73, and it stalls the drive. And it just felt like either you're going to kill them, either you're going to take big shots and kill them over the top when you get opportunities so they can get out of it, or you're going to run the ball and run the ball successfully and make them have to get out of it. And again, I don't think the Cowboys did anything to make them have to shake up what they were doing. Then when they go up 2 scores, they know you got to pass the ball. Well, we've been on the other side of this. These guys can pin their ears back and get after it. But another thing
But they didn't have to, though, I don't think they had to get away from it, even down 2 scores. But before you move on with that, I want you to stay there with the deep shot, because Shotty talked about that. And I love the deep shot early in the game against a team that plays too high. Here's why. You're not going to get many, so you got to take advantage of them. But that was the first pass of the game. You miss it. Sometimes it happens, right? But here's what it did do. It backed those dudes up. It backed them up a lot. When you start seeing, post-snap, the picture go, dudes 20, 30 yards, safeties down the field, right? So now you have that room to run the ball. And that's what happened. In that same drive, you started to get off on the ground, and they called the holding penalty that hurt you. It is what it is. But I'd argue you did not have to stop running the ball down 14-0 in the first half. And here's why. Because you got into scoring position by, converting the short pass game, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then you got a nice little intermediate pass, but you were running the rock. And if you get down there and score, now it's 14-7. It's a ball game. So I don't think they needed to come out of doing what they needed to do until they got to the second half. So that's all I wanted to say about that, is that I think Dallas, after that first possession, where we gave you the threat of we can go deep on you, and we backed them up, we came out too high in the second possession. Guess what we did? Pass, 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 as opposed to getting back on the ground. And that was a bit frustrating.
No. It was frustrating, especially since, hey, listen, it's not a whole bunch of good to take out of that game. But I've seen enough of Tony Pollard this last couple weeks to feel like Tony is sturdy right now. Like Tony is looking like Tony that we expect for him to look like. He's running the ball with a lot of authority, and his cutback ability and his shiftiness seems like it's reemerged. So to your point, I was confused as to why they decided to elected to pass those times. I will say too, I think that maybe and this is just me, because all the offensive line was a problem too. it was a problem to me too in a lot of instances where they were having trouble picking up whoever the free rusher is, whether it was the safety, whether it was the corner. But I just thought protection really dictated a lot too, because I think Dak ran into a couple of those sacks, but it was coverage sacks too. That secondary held up well too. I didn't necessarily like some of the concepts that we ran, and that's just me. I don't know about you, but I didn't like some of the pass concepts. I didn't like some of the route concepts that we ran.
You're right. I didn't see anything that really took them out of what they wanted to do or confuse them. And I think a lot of that has to do with not doing pre-snap motion. I'm going to be honest. Again, if you're going to be stagnant the way you are, it doesn't confuse a defense that's this isn't the Eagles, right? Their secondary is garbage. The way they play the zone is garbage. This was a really good disciplined defense, especially at home. So you needed to make them think. You needed to cause some chaos. And I agree. I didn't think there were many concepts and which was a shocker, because I thought the Cowboys had some of those in their wheelhouse, but they kind of rolled out. They wanted to do that kind of vertical flood situation. And the Bills were ready for that. They were ready for that. And the other thing, if I get back into my notes here, we talked about the short pass game. It wasn't sharp for Dak in this one. It felt like to me they came out into this game and they had the mentality of first of all, we need to work the long way, but they didn't have that discipline to work the long way. You know, Mike talked about that. Mike came out and said, hey, we knew in this game we're going to have to work the long way, right? But it didn't feel like Mike and Dak wanted to do that. It felt like they were working deep to short as opposed to maybe intermediate to short, right? And then so therefore that short pass game wasn't as sharp as it needed to be. It wasn't as sharp as it was earlier in the season. And I'm not talking about the San Francisco game. He worked the short pass game to perfection to start the season. That wasn't an issue, really. But then we started to open it up a bit, and I think maybe it's been a while since we had to play that game. So I'm hoping this kind of knocks a little bit of sense into him. Like, okay, if you got to get back into a short pass game, you have to be sharper than you were in that game. The balls were high early on. He might have missed a quick out that might have got 5 or 6 yards. You just got to take the 5 or 6 yards instead of trying to get that intermediate 15-yard or maybe a deep pass because it's not there. So I just think he was not sharp, and then Mike wasn't sharp in saying we got to focus on this and be creative in our short passing game. There was a play where we saw a lot of kind of that everybody run a hook, you know, and it's like that's not going to do it. It's not going to do it against this defense, man.
Listen, Glenn, I was sitting there like, oh no, not that. You can't run hooks and curls against this defense that's aggressive.
Not without some creativity. No, sir. No, sir.
No, absolutely. And to your point in regard to just the lack of motion and some of the things, I mean, that's how when you're playing a defense that's aggressive like they are and they play really downhill, you got to use it against them. And to your point, I don't think that there was enough motion. I don't think there was enough usage of guys like Turpin and stuff like that. I don't know what it is about when things aren't going their way, but I really need them to figure out how to counter better. I truly do. I feel like I was disappointed.
I feel like Mike will, right, moving forward.
Tracking.
But what about?
Absolutely.
I wish he would have did it in the game too. That's all.
Yeah, man. I mean, when they came out after the half and they went 3 and out, I was like, listen, guy. When I'm gonna keep it real with you. When they carried James Cook, when the Bills carried James Cook on that first drive across the line for an offensive for a first down.
Oh gosh, for like a 13 yards, that was crazy.
Listen, I shook my head and I said, oh no, it's about to be one of them days, boss.
Somebody did like a weight breakdown. On that play, the Cowboys were outweighted by like 400 pounds because, again, we came out there in that big nickel and they came out in the big set and extra tight end or extra jumbo, I don't know. And, they just pushed Cook for an extra like 8 yards, which was wild. You brought up coming out of the first half. They didn't go 3 and out, but they got a first down and then they committed a ridiculous, stupid play where they wanted to take a shot play. We just sat here and talked about they weren't giving you anything deep, right? So they come out and they run on 3rd and 1 which I thought the spot was there. But anyway, 3rd and 1, and they
crazy.
the spots was crazy. Hey, too high. You know how I get. You see me at the get. Jesse would tell you too. I kept screaming all night. Man, this spot is a little funky to me, but hey,
them spots was crazy.
The spots was a little wild. The spots was a little wild. They moved it. To me, if anything, it was 3rd and inches, if not a first. But 3rd and inches, that thing was a whole yard and a half. It felt like whatever, right? So you come out, in my opinion, you're down 21-3. I'm treating this like 4-down territory. I can't afford not to score a touchdown or at least get 3 to make it a 2-possession game. So why not come out, do what's been working, run the ball, get the first? If it doesn't happen, okay, you get 4th and inches, or if you lose yards, it's 4th and 3, you still can go for it. These fools come out, run play action. And who was the right guard at that point? TJ Bass. TJ Bass, he stayed in his 3-point stance. 25 did a delayed blitz. Next thing you know, you got 3 Buffalo Bills sacking Dak Prescott. You ran a play action shot pass, which was really a one-man route, nothing across the middle of the field. It was egregious that they called that, and I think they pressed a little bit too hard in that situation too hard.
Absolutely, and that's what when you're playing a defense like that, Doc, and you mentioned it requires patience to move down the field. It really does. It has to be, and I've seen Dak be able to play patient and move down the field. I do think they got a bit antsy. I do think there are instances where he didn't necessarily trust his protection and he didn't finish his reads and things of that nature. I didn't think Sky. I felt like the offensive line had a lot to do with what was going on offensively. I was just not really pleased with what I saw on film.
Kudos to the Bills D-line, right? Like they came out and they played tough. They played hard against the pass rush. But guess what you've been saying all week? Guess what we've been talking about all week? These boys can rush the passer. So that doesn't shock me. That didn't shock me that they can get after the pass rush, right? What shocked me was that we didn't stay committed to the ground like they did. And honestly, I probably shouldn't be shocked. I probably shouldn't be. But Buffalo is historically a team that's going to throw the ball 35, 40 times. And they understood the assignment. It's a downpour. We know their weakness is consistently stopping the run, even though that the Cowboys have been better at it. The odds of them stopping it 49 times are slim to none. So that's what they stuck to. Where Dallas, they saw some success on the ground and said, we're just going to continue to try to air this thing out. I just thought that they understood the assignment for Buffalo, and we tried to go against the grain, and it didn't work.
Yeah, man. I felt like, and then obviously, we don't. Jeff gets pissed when we have to talk about penalties, but the penalties weren't it clearly. So they didn't have that many penalties. But the timing of them.
Maybe the worst of the season. The timing, maybe the worst of the season.
Yeah, and I felt like there were just the instances where those penalties hit you early in that game. It just sucked the energy out of the situation. It really did. And to your point, I think they could have stayed on the ground. I think they could have done some things. But to your point, I think that they felt like they pressed a little bit. I think they got a little antsy. Obviously, Zack Martin going out was a big deal because let's just keep it a buck, man. That's one thing that I always think about is what happens when you have a certain offensive lineman go out. How much does that change your playbook?
Mike said it didn't. Does it change? Do we believe him? Based off of how they was calling the game, Mike said it didn't affect it. Mike came out in the presser and said, nothing changed with Zach going out. He said they didn't have to close up the playbook. That's what he said.
Okay.
We don't believe you. You need more people.
listen, man. I'm not. But that doesn't even. And I'm just being honest with you. That doesn't even make sense to me because T.J. Bass wasn't a part of the install that week. He wasn't getting first team reps. But he wasn't. He might have been. I don't know. I just. Okay, sure. But I felt like some things changed when they decided when he went down, and even if it's a psyche thing to me too, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like when you lose an offensive lineman as big as Zach, and that does some of the things that Zach does. Like I don't know like if they felt like they could just do what they did before.
To be fair, it wasn't that great when he was in there anyway. To be fair,
I mean,
to be
talk
fair.
about it.
To be fair, they were down.
Talk about it.
What was it? I can't remember if he was in on the field goal drive, like how many times he was in. But the whole first half, he was in there until the end of the first half, if I'm not mistaken, like the last drive or two or something like that. So, it wasn't like it was great. My last note from the film, which this one to me might have been the most shocking because you didn't attack their weakness. I have here no middle of the field play action calls. I was really, really shocked in this game that they didn't go into this and deliberately try to target these tight ends against a very weak linebacking group defending the tight ends. I ran the numbers, the film, everything backed it up that they struggled to defend the middle of the field. They struggled to defend tight ends, and we just didn't game plan it. And then for me saying no middle of the field play action calls, they, first of all, only ran play action 19% of the time, which is a season low. A season low. That's inexcusable, given that you were running the ball a little well, so use that against them. And even if you're not running the ball well, play action works. It just does. So to only do it at 19%, which is the lowest of the season, just didn't make any sense to me. But here's another one that made no sense.
I think that plays into what.
Yeah, one more thing. Here's another one that made no sense to me. They had 0 passing attempts beyond 10 yards in the middle of the field. And I'm not talking about like, oh, he just didn't read it and throw it. There were times where they just didn't even send anybody there. For instance, there was I hated this call. For those that watch the film studies we do here, one of my pet peeves is when we do max protect and we send a 2-man route, and those 2-man routes are either one or two things: all goes or deep comebacks. I think that's the stupidest thing in the world because you're neglecting the middle of the field. And what happened? You blocked that thing up beautifully. You blocked it up, and they decided to blitz. They sent 7 dudes, and Dak really didn't have much pressure on them. But here was the problem. You sent 2 hook calls on the outside. Both of them were covered. Now, I would have loved it to do a hands to the face pass interference on Brandon Cooks, but I can't expect that. Instead of sending maybe 1 deep hook or 1 deep route and then another over route or something in the middle of the field. And that was a play where, Dak throws it to Cooks. My man could have had an interception or it could have been a pass interference. Right. Either way, you just don't run that against max protect and nobody's in the middle of the field. So they didn't do anything play action wise. They didn't attack the middle with the tight ends. This should have been a game where Ferg went off and they didn't do it. And it was a bit disappointing.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, we talked about the middle of the field probably going to be going to be open a lot of this game, and to see them not attack it, to not attack it consistently was surprising to me as well. Especially so when you have somebody like Ferg, who you can tell is emerging and really starting to get a good feel for how to navigate the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. I was surprised. Yeah, I did too, and that's why I said I didn't like some of the route concepts. I didn't like some of the things that they were doing. Again, you didn't do anything to me, whether sticking to the run or some of your route concepts. You didn't do anything. You didn't cause no conflict, as you like to say, and stuff. It was very stagnant. And we've seen this again. We've seen this like when they have times where stuff doesn't go their way initially, that they go into this shell almost. And I'm just like, that can't be what happens when things don't initially go your way. You got to have a counterpunch. You got to be able to adjust. You got to be able to figure things out. And I understand that this is an unfamiliar opponent, bro. Like I really do understand that a little bit more now than what I did before. Before I used to be like, yeah, whatever. But now I am starting to get like, when you don't play a team regularly, and don't get it twisted too, this Buffalo team is different than what they were 3-4 weeks ago, especially offensively. Like
pre Joe Brady. They're a different team with Joe Brady at the offensive helm.
Yeah. And I think defensively they already had the pieces and stuff, but when your offense is playing with the lead and your offense is learning, and that's another thing. Listening to Mike and listening to Dak and some of those guys, the offense wasn't on the field enough to really even get in a rhythm, to really even get anything, again, to dictate anything that they were doing defensively. You weren't able to sustain drives. You weren't able to get that much information and figure things out. And I felt like I don't know what the game plan was going into the game. I really don't. I like the deep shot to start the game and everything, but everything else after that, it just felt I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but I didn't. There were times that I was shaking my head too, like, sure, what was the plan here? What was what were you guys trying to establish here? And going away from the run, to your point, I didn't think was something that was smart either.
You got 2I, Aisha Morrison, DallasCowboys.com. I almost said Jigsaw because that's what y'all. But Girls Talk, Boys Talk on .com.
Our sponsor.
They ain't got a free look, man. They ain't got a free look. In closing here, Aisha. You talked about uncommon opponents. Well, they got another one coming up. Miami Dolphins on uncommon opponent. And if we keep it to the bean, they uncommon for everybody. What they do is not normal in the league, and it is going to require extreme discipline and some physicality up front. We're going to be breaking that down throughout the week. I know you will be, but kind of just your kind of quick preview and thoughts on this Miami team.
Oh, yeah, man. Really what it comes down to, especially with Miami, is how much can you affect the quarterback, because the quarterback has time, but he's going to drop back. He's going to put that little left arm in the air, and he's going to get busy. You understand me? So listen, A-Chain is a problem. Checked him out in the draft. This guy he has good size. He's physical. He can come downhill, and he can cut back on a dime. The Dolphins' offensive line is something I'm going to be taking a look at. They lost Connor Williams for the year. Cowboys OG, triple OG. And to me, one thing I have noticed, though, is when Dallas plays shorter quarterbacks, this defensive line gets after it. I talked to Dan Quinn about it weeks ago, just because when Tua is not that small. Yeah, Tua is not that small, but I think that this defensive line is really going to have to do a lot as far as obviously rush contain, because he can escape the pocket and do some things. But as far as like their secondary, I don't know. Listen, there's not a lot of teams that have a secondary that can run with these guys. So your sacks and your pressures are going to be very important. I think your defensive line is going to be just incredibly important in how they defend and how they trust their eyes. Because to your point, they do a lot of motion. They do a lot of it's also too their alignments, Sky. They throw some different alignments at you.
Yeah, they're quirky. They're like their coach. They're quirky.
Yeah. He crazy, bro.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite coach in the league. I love Mike McDaniel. I was ready to sell the farm to I really was. I was ready to sell the farm for Mike. But anyway, go ahead.
But to your point though, this is going to be another test, dog. This is going to be another guy that comes from the Shanahan tree or has Shanahan-type traits, and some of the things that you see them throw at you, you could see against the 49ers later.
The conference has been locked.
I think it's going to come down to how the Cowboys' defensive line plays and affects the quarterback, because if you can affect him, honestly, it's one of the only ways you're going to get it, dog. Because if he has time, his receivers have the ability to get open consistently because they're so fast. And they're in and out of their breaks so quickly, man. Like, it's going to be hard on this secondary.
A2I, fantastic conversation. I don't know why the hell we waited 15 weeks. I think we talked like one time during the season on air, maybe before that, but we shouldn't have waited this long. This was good stuff. Gotta do it again.
It's me, man. It's me, man. It's me.
Okay, old lady, get up in the morning. God dang it.
Bruh, it's me, bruh. Like, I mean, full transparency. If this is safe, this is a safe place. Listen, being a veteran, one of the things they don't tell you is that your insomnia is tough, dog, and that's something I deal with. If anybody else in here deals with them, shoot me some tips. Like it's tough for me sometimes, man. Just getting to sleep. Yeah, so but we won't go this long because we're twins. So we can't go this long. I appreciate our talks and I appreciate you allowing me to come on your platform and speak to the human. Yes.
Of course, man. And if y'all want to follow more of what she does, please let them know where to find the podcast and you on Twitter. Cause look, you getting up there on Twitter. You getting up there when it comes to, hey, you kind of need to be following her because she's dropping some nuggets off the film she's watching. So let them know where to find you.
Y'all know I'm still learning Twitter, y'all. Listen, I only been on that thing for 2 years, but it's still a very shocking place for me sometimes. Can I do a shameless drop? Is that cool?
Of course. Yep.
Oh, okay. Folks, we will be having Tyler Smith on Girls Talk, Boys Talk today at 4 p.m.
Hey.
If y'all want to come through, yes. If y'all want to come through and learn a little bit more about the kid, and he's going to be here for a long time, so y'all might as well get used to him. Have the opportunity to come in and get to know him a little bit more at 4 p.m. Central Time today. We're really excited to have him on, man. Good
stuff. Definitely be tuning in. The Wanye Thomas one was great. Ferg was great. They low key, man. I'm telling you, when you bring a guest on that show, there's some little nuggets that's dropped in there. So make sure y'all tune in for Tyler Smith, and he's a joy to speak with and listen to. I mean, when you guys interview him in the locker room. So I'm definitely going to be interested in that one. But thank you for joining us this morning too. I appreciate you so much.
All right, bye y'all. Thank you so much. Bye, Sky.
Hey, not that one. That ain't the one. Come on now. Here we go. My bad, y'all. That the sky, there was a 2-eye in the sky. It took this long. Wasn't supposed to. But we got it here, man. And it was a fantastic discussion and a nice little preview into Miami, which we'll be talking about with Koye tomorrow. That film study, I cannot wait to break down. All right, so we got into my Sky Optics. We talked about the defense with Tuai. We talked about the offense with her. So now it's time to listen to a few of y'all. We got 4. We got 4 callers on the line, so we'll listen, to some of these calls here. And before we do that, we like to take a quick coffee break, go to the bathroom. If you got to pretend you're doing work because your boss is hovering around, let's do that. But we're gonna be a little bit different in how we take our break today. Give me about 30 seconds.
Send them running straight back to the dealership. Me, I'm in my spaceship. That's right, I work for NASA. This FNH is not a fraud. Call that my bodyguard. Call that the bodyguard. Yeah, that's my bodyguard. Wear a lot of jewelry. Young don't do security. What's whiter than a napkin? Harder than a dinner plate. If you want it, come and get it. You know I stay super straight.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
Oh, don't y'all think I'm going to let them lay that one down. Don't y'all think that's going to happen. I shouldn't have been talking shit. What's Drew? That's kind of hard, though. If he wasn't a backup quarterback, that's kind of... Look, the Archer's dope. Don't get me wrong, because he hit you with the... He catch it right and then pow. But the lock... He put a little season on that. I can't take it though, because he played for the Seahawks. But if he is a Cowboy, that's dope. I ain't gonna hold you. All right. Let's talk to y'all for a little bit here as we close out the show. Starting off, we got to start it off. We got to start off with my guy, because he not with the Slurpees. What's good, VIP?
Sky is VIP, baby.
What's
Sky,
good with you?
what? Sky, look, man, it takes me 24 hours to get over a loss.
Yeah, I feel you.
So you know, I watched the film like 3 times. I really digest what pops off. And Sky, there's 3 things I took from the game, respectfully. But before I go there, Sky, no Slurpees allowed. I know y'all been waiting and lurking. I know they was all on your heels yesterday. I started to call in late, but I said, look, man, this is what I'm gonna tell you. For all my naysayer for the Slurpee vision, this is what you need to do. 3 weeks from now, come holler at me, all right? Because we got 3 more games, and I can't be distracted by y'all Slurpees. If you want to go on, you know, we can get. I think you need to set up a celebrity ring for me, Sky, and fly me out and let me handle these Slurpees. We could do a celebrity boxing. We could throw the money to charity.
That'd be something.
Respectfully, I mean, I ain't a killer, but don't push it. I ain't trying to hurt nobody, but I'm saying these Slurpees. What the problem is, they're not held accountable. People being held accountable is the problem with my Cowboys, and that starts from the top. We've known for years that we need a big D tackle. What is my owner do? He parking lot pimping when it comes to free agency. We know what parking lot pimping is, right, Sky?
Yeah, explain it to the people who don't, though.
Yeah, well, for the people that don't know, that's for the people that sit outside and they wait for the stragglers to come out, for the 2 o'clock ladies to come out all drunk, walking to their car, and you get the stragglers and they parking lot pimping and they picking out of those. They don't want to go inside. They don't want to get a girl a drink and have to spit some lines to her. They don't want that. They want to park a lot pit. They want to come at her when she's 2:30 and she walking to the car half drunk, and that's how they pick them off. That's my mentality of how my ownership goes about free agency. If I know we need a D tackle, Sky, you've been like, we know this is what we need. I don't care which. I don't know. Maybe Jerry has a small man complex, but size matters when it comes to things. If you don't believe me, ask your girl. Size matters. Size matters, guys. Respectfully. So when we going in there and we getting big bodied around, we got big bodied around. Lord, excuse me, Scott, they ran that goddamn tackle around, that tackle lead. That's all they ran. Lord, I tell Scott, watch this goddamn thing 5 times. Now they ran that tackle lead, run around to the left side, to the right side, to the left side, to the right side. There wasn't nothing complicated about it. Your damn quarterback threw 15 times.
Yeah. Yeah, they got bullied, man. They got bullied in Buffalo after we bullied the Broad Street bullies, you know?
So so my problem is DQ, I need you. I don't want to see no goddamn Curse playing the field. That if I see Curse out in the goddamn open again, I'm going to go choke somebody. Because I know his strengths, you know his strengths. DQ, you know that is not his strength. He cannot play the Scott. Did you see that?
I saw it, man.
He got a goddamn pass interference because he's not in his comfort zone. Even though that wasn't a PE, because you know we got to play the reps too. That's the second part of my thing I want to talk about. That first call set the tone on D-Law. That first call, I don't know if you remember, but it was your boy, because you know he's the great white hope. Excuse me, he's the great white savior. Oh, excuse me, he's the quarterback that walks on water. He's the one they changed the rules for. So if you touch him, you blow him. He's the new Tom Brady. You can't tackle him. You can't blow on him. That was he filled a forearm shiver to the chest.
Yeah, it was. Look. I found out after the game because I wasn't familiar with Josh Allen's game in that regard. I'm going to keep it a bean. I was familiar with his game in between the lines and the whistle. I didn't know he was a flop king. I didn't know he was, LeBron James of the National Football League when it came to the flopping. Somebody had dropped a video and bruh flops so much. And I'm like, man, I wish I'd have known that. Maybe that's something we could have got down there to the players and said, hey, man, watch out for him. Throwing his head back and his hands and flailing and looking for a flag. And what happens on that very important play? He did exactly that, and it worked.
And they scored on that drive. Both the penalties, they scored on those drives. And that change the mentality of Big Mike, because we could have, like Aisha, shout out to Aisha, I love Aisha mentality, but we could have ran down their throat. That was Big Mike's. If you watch him, I think that was his concept coming in. Like, all right, y'all want to play the two safeties back? We just going to run it down your throat.
That wasn't, though, VIP. I wish it was, but it wasn't.
I'm saying I wish it was, but it was because we getting 3rd and 1. Just bro, want to drop back and pass. Bro, if you should go to the Boppy Boy push like they do in Philly, the glory hole push, whatever the hell you want to call it, they doing up in Philly. That's what the hell we should be doing. Yo, man, and speaking of Philly, shout out to all my people. Shout out to Mike.
In closing, VIP. In closing.
Yeah, this in closing. Shout out to Mike out in Philly. To all my Philly heads that got at me after our game, and I kept saying, bro, hold up, y'all got a game to pop off. So look, man, shout out to Jalen Hurts, his 17 turnovers. Yo, shout out to my quarterback that everybody want to get at. Shout out to my quarterback, because I'm a ride or die with my QB. I love my 4. All we need to do is clean up our run defense. I ain't a killer, but don't push me, B. Got to go get my therapy in.
Salute.
I love you, Sky.
Appreciate you, man. Much love. VIP.
I'm about to be on some real murder shit, eh? I'm telling you, man. Any nigga that ever looked at me wrong, owes me money, or ever said any jealous bullshit about me is fucking dead. You understand what the fuck I'm saying? Hey, they're fucking dead, man. I don't give a fuck about nothing, man.
Oh, man. I shouldn't have this much fun today. I shouldn't
Fast,
be having this.
easy.
Hey, get out of here. I shouldn't be having this much fun today, but I am. Miss Star, you can bring us back to reality here, Miss Star. What's up with you? Shouts out to VIP, though.
What's up, Sky? How you doing? Good morning. I'm
good. I'm out here I'm just playing around too much, man. But what's up with you?
I'm actually doing pretty good. I'm, woke up this morning. I said, feels good because we lost, but Philly lost too. So it's always a good day, when Philly loses against a backup quarterback and not the best defense, but either way, I wanted to talk a little bit because I just was able to get really into the all-22 film of the Bills game. And then I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Miami game because I also got into their film. I don't know if you've started watching Miami already, or you probably been watching them all year.
I'm about to say, I've been dipping my toes in Miami film all season, man. They're the funnest team to watch, but I will really dive into it starting today. But, let's get to your points, and then we can discuss them a little bit.
Yeah, so in the Bills game, I think something that I did not notice during the broadcast view is that it was actually pretty windy out there. Because I remember Michael Gelkin had posted, it was either Michael Gelkin, one of the beat writers, maybe John Machota, but they were like, okay, look at this wind before the game. They're like, you can pretty much tell that there's barely any wind because the flags are pretty much not moving at all on the goalpost. But as I'm watching the game, I'm seeing those flags is moving. Now, it's not like super violent, but they were moving pretty significantly. So I think because when we heard that first deep shot that Dak missed, which granted every quarterback misses deep shots, but when I listened to Shotty explain, like why that shot was missed, because I know everybody's saying that was just that could have flipped the game essentially, which I do agree with that. But he was saying that Brandon Cooks, he was like, when he was under it, it felt like the ball was going to go right into his hand, and then it kind of sailed over. And then I agree with you when you said, Dak's short game wasn't like some of the passes. I remember one pass he tried to get to TP. He tried to get to TP quickly. It's like it just kind of flew weird. Like when Dak threw it looked like it should have hit TP right in the numbers, but then it ended up being some weird high ball that could have probably been a pick if TP wasn't able to get his hand up. So I think, it was just the weather didn't look like it was affecting it, but I do think it affected it a little bit more than what we probably anticipated watching live view.
I mean, they should have anticipated it. They 100% should have.
Right.
They were playing the whole rain ball stuff at practice. You have to know it. The home team anticipated. That's why they only threw the ball 15 times and had 7 completions. And once you get to the game and you feel that weather, you have to alter your game plan if your game plan was to come out and pass. So, that's an error on them. Weather be damn, right?
Yep.
Like, hey, if balls are sailing and you think it's the weather, then how about stop throwing the ball so much? Don't come out and throw 3 times in a row.
Exactly. Exactly. I with you 100% on that. And I think I agree with, shout out to Aisha. Love you, Aisha, if you still listening. And we got away from the run way too fast. I don't know why we did it. I don't know if Mike, this seemed like the first game of the year. Because I don't even consider San Fran that we was pressing. I consider San Fran like we just couldn't get nothing going. It's like nothing was going right, from the TP from and all that stuff. But this is a game where I feel like, why are we pressing here when we knew we had to take the long game?
Yep.
It felt like and it wasn't just on Mike. It's on Dak. Dak, Mike and Shotty.
Mike and Dak. It felt really weird. Y'all understood how you can't come out in the post game and say, "Hey, yeah, we knew we were going to have to play the long game." But then I'm watching them like y'all didn't execute like that at all. I mean, this should have been a game where your running back should have had a combined 10, 11 receptions. Your tight end should have had at least 6 or 7 of them, and then maybe a few screens early in the game. And it was the opposite. It was like y'all were trying to get the intermediate and deep going. And I think what happened was you didn't see maybe a dump off. And we talked about, I don't know if you watched our film study last week, we talked about the delay release. Man, the delay release is so good against this Bills linebacker crew because they don't really care about it. Once they see that you're engaged as a blocker, their mindset is, all right, I'm coming and rushing. So once you release, I can get open. And if you go watch that deep ball, it's just one play. And the deep ball was there. Yep. But there was a delay release, and you had, I think it was Jake Ferguson. He would have caught that and ran for at least 20 yards. But,
Right. That's what I'm saying. It didn't. They said, like, we knew we had to play a long game. I don't know if they possibly changed it because maybe they thought it's not raining.
That might be. That's a good point. That might be it because Mike did say, we kind of got lucky there in the first half with the weather. The wind wasn't as windy as what he thought it might be. Now the rain was raining, right? But I guess it wasn't as cold, so I felt they might have got a slight break there. But then obviously all that started to pick up. But yeah, good eye.
Yeah, it could have been because of that, because I just felt like, and it was just some things that was like, oh, this underneath is open. Like that one crazy throw that Dak made. I mean, it was a great throw, but it's like, Dak, I don't really think you had to force that, because what if the wind had sailed? There was 3 defenders over there.
Oh, you talking about that Lamb throw?
Lamb.
I almost broke that play down. I mean, that was his best throw of the game. Right? It wasn't many.
That was nuts.
I was
like, oh my
ballsy
God.
throw. Yeah, ballsy throw. But what you got?
It was very ballsy.
What you got for the Miami game?
Anyway,
what's on your mind for that?
Yeah, so for the Miami game, because I'm kind of pairing this with what I've seen and what I've been seeing all season, I feel like our defense, now crazy as this sounds, but I really feel like our defense matches up better with Miami because you're going speed on speed. And one thing we got on defense is speed. You know what I'm saying? So I also feel like our defense stops zone concept running because in the first half of the Bills game, we were actually stopping. I mean, they were doing run and pass, and I saw us stopping Cook. Sometimes we were stopping at the line. Maybe he'd get a couple of yards, and that's what I've been used to seeing from our defense when it comes to the run game, because I think most people run zone concepts against us, which is where, I don't know, we just are better stopping that. And then you had Evans in there. We sprinkled Evans in there. He was making some open field tackles. So I was like, oh, okay. So it was really when they said, we're going to switch to this power. We're just going to literally go Arizona style, where we're just going to put our big guys on your small guys and run the ball down our throat, that we just could not stop it in the second half. And so I think when I'm watching Miami, they make me motion sick because I'm like, Jesus, Mike McDaniel is just never nonstop motion. Everything is motion. But when I watched their game against the Titans were able to stop them pretty good because You just have to have eye discipline because Mike McDaniel is essentially trying to trick you every freaking
That's
play.
the problem.
He's just trying to trick you every play.
That's our problem. We don't have
that.
We don't have great eye discipline. I think the Titans are a more of a run-stopping team. That's how they built their team. They're a physical team. They're traditional linebackers, traditional front. That they're built to be more competitive up front against the run game. Where Dallas struggled against Arizona, this is what worries me. You brought up Arizona. It was the eye candy. It was the pre-snap motion, post-snap action, making your linebackers hesitate for one quick second. And next thing you know, you got a lineman up on Bell, and he's pulling and he's turning them. Or at that time, it was LVE as well. And they are a mixture.
Yeah.
They're a mixture of, we'll do eye candy, but then they'll say, okay, we'll do some power game because, that, obviously Mike McDaniel comes from San Francisco.
Yep, that's true. They are a mixture. They do zone and power. It's going
to be it's going to be challenging. If they were to stop them, this would be a great boost to the mental psyche because you're going to go up against another team that runs creatively. And the Cowboys, if you look at the 3 games, Buffalo, they decided to get more downhill, but they did some creative things on the edge. If you go look at Cook and what's the kid's name, Johnson, Cook averaged something like 9.9 yards on the edge. Johnson averaged, I think, like 7 yards on the edge. Well, where do you think Miami runs?
Yeah.
Miami
runs a lot of edge, a lot of edge, and that seems to have been our Achilles heel for the past 2 seasons because you have to have eye discipline and stuff like that. So I think speed to speed we match up, but it's really going to take a lot of eye discipline. And I really think the last thing I'll close out is as I'm watching this Buffalo film, we need Evans to get on the field because a lot of issues is because. And I don't consider them soft. I don't think Bell and Clark are soft. I think many people are saying they're soft. They don't want to hit. I'm like, no, I don't think it's that.
They're will linebackers.
I think they're just, they're will linebackers. So they try to wait and see if, okay, can I use my speed? But we really need somebody to just come down and feel. And they're just not guys that want to come downhill and feel. They like to, if you're in the middle of the zone, they want to crack your head off that type of way. But they're not guys that want to come down and do the dirty work. And I think Evans really is that guy. He made a lot of impactful plays in that first half, from what I've seen. But anyway, I will close out. I'll close out with that. Hopefully Dan Quinn makes some adjustments because I also didn't see our D tackles just getting totally pushed off the ball. It was really the linebackers just playing hesitant Harry. It's not looking up and feeling, which is what's getting us killed.
I remember the first play with Carl Davis. It was like, oof, not a good. I hope you bounce back, Carl, because that play, I think Cooks got up the field for like an 11-yard gain. I felt like, I wonder if Hankins was in there, he'd cause some traffic and make him cut back. And Carl Davis just got pushed to the ground. It was like, eesh. But
he might have had a couple, but I also saw some rest where he was able to hold his ground. Him,
big boy,
what's it called?
Mozzie.
Yeah, so there was some, him, Mozzie. Also, they were able to hold their ground a little bit better. So, hopefully, I think Dan Quinn, he's getting, or as I call him, Dan Moore now. Dan Moore, he's getting a lot of heat. And he's getting exposed about this small linebacker scheme. So we'll see what Dan does on Sunday if he decides to make any adjustments. Because we got 2 tests with creative run styles, Miami and the
Detroit.
Lions.
Yep, Detroit.
Yep. Yep. So we got our test right before the playoffs, which is good for us. Anyway, I appreciate you, Scott. Thanks for having me on.
Indeed. Thank you, Miss Starr. As she was talking about those linebackers, I talked about this yesterday on Vacha's show. We're not a traditional defense. We kind of make our name from being versatile and diverse and all these things. But there's times, though, sometimes where having that traditional style look mixed in with some quirky, crazy, different looks is what you need. And this was a game. We kept saying, well, why ain't they bringing out the big package? And me and Voss were joking. Well, do we even have one? And do we have one that doesn't involve Micah at the second level? Not really. We don't. You got 2, let's be honest. You got 1 real will linebacker. 1. His name is Damone Clark. The other dude is a safety. I don't give a damn if he's a Will or a Mike. He's still 205 soaking wet, right? So it's not like, he's traditional style. And I'm not saying you got to be traditional, but there's going to be games where this happens, and you need these guys to be a bit downhill. And was Rashaan Evans great in this game? No, but he made a couple plays that I would have liked to see them at least give him a little bit more, give him more shots at it and get in the groove. Because another thing I said yesterday was linebackers are kind of like running backs. If you're a backup running back, I'll get like 5-6 carries. I'll make some shape. If you're a starter, 5-6 carries is not going to cut it. You need to at least get 10, 11, 12 carries, find a groove, figure out how this linebacker's moving, how my guy's blocking, where I can make a cut, things like that. It'd be nice to see Rashaan Evans get in the flow in a game like this. You aren't going to play a ton of teams in the offs in this way. That one team doesn't. But you aren't going to play a ton of teams in the playoffs that play this heavy style. So obviously we don't want to overreact too much, because if you get into a game where it's more of a passing game, you get in a game where, teams only are running the ball to kind of just stay in front of the chains, be efficient. Yeah, that's when it's nice to have Clark. It's nice to have Bell, because they are fast and they can deal with the tight ends, they can deal with the running back. But if you get in a game where they say early on, oh, you can't deal with us, you're going to need some size. And we don't have, it has never been built traditionally that way. Under Dan Quinn, we elect, LVE, not a traditional, thumper backer. He got the traditional size, but he's more of a will safety type of mentality. Damone Clark, that's not his game. Overshown got hurt. You cut Harper, and we had to move a safety down. So, sometimes you get into these games, you're going to need a little bit more size. And this might be a case next week. Not having Hankins, I think, here is going to suck a little bit too, because even against teams that run east-west, what I love about Hank knows leverage. He understands how to use his strength. He uses that one hand, and he just gets in the offensive lineman's chest. And next thing you know, you're 2-3 yards behind line of scrimmage, and you're making that running back have to hesitate. And now our guy's clean to make a tackle. So they ain't going to have Hank this week probably. So they're going to have to figure this thing out against this team. And now it's pick your poison. Do you go the speed with Clark and Bell, or you say, well, let's give Rashaan Evans a little bit more, and next thing you know, you forget, man, they got a ton of speed out here too. Be interesting. 580, what it is, what it do?
What it is?
Yes, sir.
Well, guys,
Los, was it Los Altos?
Los Altos. Yeah.
What's good with you, man?
Hey, keep doing your thing, man. You've been doing it. You and all the other content creators. But, yeah, man, I ain't have much. I ain't going to backtrack too much. I am getting sick and tired of the little home away thing. It just comes down to great football at this point. When you scheme good, your players buy in and believe in the scheme, and then they go and execute. That's what it boils down to. You know what I'm saying? I agree with you and Aisha. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why they didn't slow down the offensive play of the Bills. You know what I'm saying? Play their game style. You got people all on the sideline. Landlord was mentioning something about how, they didn't go to challenge play. You should have your players saying, hey, that's a fumble, this and that. And that goes with the same thing. Like, hey, they're going to play this game. Let's play that game. You know what I'm saying? Get the offense off the field.
Not challenging that. You saw me a couple weeks ago. You should have seen me when he ain't challenged that play, fam. I was livid.
Man, hey, everybody else right along with you. I'm going to touch on my main topic is Dan Quinn. Everybody got their questions and stuff like that. Cowboys really don't have much to prove to players, the offense, as far as I'm concerned. Dan Quinn, after hearing that speech, of the podium, what I took from that, probably answering everybody else's question, is just that what I got from him, he took zero accountability. Kind of remind me of that one NBA coach. I think it's Doc Rivers, if I am mistaken. But I heard a lot of, the players didn't do this, the players didn't do that. I ain't hear him say anything about, setting them up for success. That shows a total effort if he does do that. A total accountability if he does that. Because I've seen a lot of, not a lot of some of the D-line lining up with the O-line wanting to be. They're getting watched down. The safety is essentially playing with a linebacker should be at the second level. You know what I mean? So setting them up, that's gonna do a lot of help. So I'm interested to see what goes on in the near future, because I do believe in my team. I'm always rock with them. So. And I think maybe it confirms his stubbornness, I think we all kind of see that. So that's my concern with that. And then thank you for the last caller, because he reminded me of when I watched Damone Clark in the second quarter, and I seen something I ain't really like. So he they try to disguise what they're going to do. He went up and Josh Allen caught him off guard, and then he adjusted. And then from there on, you see Damone Clark hesitate on his blitz, go 50%. I ain't really like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, Damone, can't play all out, you know what I mean?
No, Damone was the spy. If you notice a little bit on tape, you'll see him. He couldn't fully blitz all the time because you had to worry about him running. So they elected to use him on. For instance, on the one deep over crosser to I think it was Diggs. Wasn't many passes the guy completed. Damone Clark was a spy in that play, and he was a spy a couple times on the play. And we said you're going to have a spy on him, but the difference is we didn't realize or anticipate they were going to run the ball 49 times. They caught us by surprise, and like you said, we didn't adjust.
Yeah, right. And I got to go back and look at that play. I couldn't tell if he was a spy or not, just because the effort he gave on that play, which what I'm saying again, I say I didn't like. But yeah, man. I'm just hoping the boys, get it figured out. You know what I mean? Like I said, I believe in the team. And hopefully there ain't no bridge between, and buying in the Daniel Quinn scheme or anything like that. I ain't insinuating anything like that. But, yeah, man, that's all I really wanted to say, bro.
All right, man. Appreciate you, Los.
All right.
Hold on. Stay tight then. Let me say the name. All right, man. We got you now. He's still here, y'all. What's that?
I also seen him because I was, a lot of people been saying Micah Parsons at linebacker, this and that. I think he'll be great. I can't remember the game. I ain't jotted down. His aggressiveness. He's so used to playing in that role. He over pursued. I was watching the Giants, and Saquon Barkley's been one of the leading rushers in the past years and stuff like that. So of course we scheme for him, right? There was a package, or at least a personnel package, where they had Armstrong on the left or on the right.
She was about to hit me with something quick. I'm
wrapping up. But they had. I'm just wondering why we didn't see this. So it was like Armstrong. It was Sam Williams. It was Osa. It was D-Law in the middle. And, Mike at linebacker. I'm wondering why we didn't go to that. Why Dan Quinn didn't, thinking something like that against the Bills. But that's all.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. So let me add that to the, Micah Parsons. Low said, hold on, one more quick little thing. Man, we had this package of Micah, Osa, Sam, Dan Quinn, Mike McCarthy, Boss Man Fat, Chew the Bed. He ran the whole... Come on, Los. Micah at linebacker. Why didn't we see more Micah at linebacker? A lot of people kind of making fun of this conversation on the Twitter world. I don't see what's so damn funny. I don't see what's funny. Now, if you want to be critical about the idea, this is where I'll be critical about the idea. No one is saying move Micah to linebacker full time. Right? Like that's not what everybody's saying. Number one. Number two, the most critical aspect of moving Micah to linebacker is, hey man, his clickability may not be there. It may not be as sharp right away. And that might be true because he's been playing so much edge. By the time you move him back to linebacker, his brain isn't functioning that way. See, this is the product of him being so freaking good. He can be elite at the second level. He can be elite with his hand in the dirt. He can be elite standing up. He can be elite as a 3-4 outside linebacker, middle linebacker. Hell, I think he could be elite at safety. So the conversation got brought up. This is why I don't think it's a funny conversation. Mike McCarthy flat out came out and said, yeah, we discussed it. You can key and he hell all you want. They know they have an issue in there. And everybody's saying, oh, well, why would you move the league's best pass? Nobody's saying move the league's best pass rusher there full time. But when a team comes out and in the first 2 or 3 drives, it is deliberate what they want to do to you, and you don't have the size of the second level to deal with it, or the clickability, or the guys being able to get down to do it, you got to try something, coach. Something. That's why they discussed it. They was like, hey, they getting on Marquise. They getting on Damone. They getting on J-Ron. He in and out. I don't know what he want to do. Was it going to be the elixir, the fixer? Nah, nobody is saying that might have shut it all down. But maybe you see something. Maybe he gets in a bit of a groove and you say, okay, the next time a team wants to do this, we know we can move Micah back there. You're going to run into a couple of them, but we know we can move Micah back there. Now, this game, again, we're going to study it up. I don't know if this would be the game per se, because all linebackers struggle with this, but especially a linebacker who hasn't played a bunch of linebacker, and that's the eye candy. I don't know if this is the game I really want to put him there because it's going to be so much eye candy. It is going to throw off that clickability. Does Ben Johnson do some of it? Sure, but it ain't nothing like what you see in Miami. So I don't think there's nothing funny about it because we've seen him on film be really good at the second level. Go pop on the damn tape. And that's not, I saw somebody say, when has he ever made a play at the middle? What? What are y'all talking about here? Maybe recency bias. Maybe they're trying to say, well, 80 snaps in the box this year. Yeah, it wasn't that great. Probably not when you throw him back there randomly and say, go play backer for us. Probably not. That's why I say it might not even work in Buffalo, but at least you can kind of get him going in case you got to do it again. But I don't think it's a funny conversation. I think it's a legitimate talking point to the fact that even those in the Cowboys locker room and the coaching staff thought about doing it in that game. Now, the other thing you said was accountability. You know, if you go listen to Dan Quinn definitely did not. He didn't say, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't remember him saying, hey, man, I got to be better. I got to make adjustments. We got caught off guard. You know, we didn't adjust to it. It was, yeah, we ain't tackle. Right, Q. We didn't. So how do you try to help that? Did you do anything to, hey, maybe put more bodies in the box? Maybe we'll run blitz. But what was the adjustment there? Now, he kept going back. If you listen to the, now bring it on, chill. I'll bring it back. It's you got to tackle. Okay. Where's that one graphic I got for y'all? Where's that one graphic? Okay. Fool me once, shame on you. Was it shame on me? And I'm really sound like Bush. You fool me twice, can't get fooled again. This ain't the first time, Dan. You know what I mean? This ain't the first time, bro. That's all I'm saying. Banks, what's up, man?
What's going on? Hey, I'm outside in the wind right this second. You go right back to me? I want to have a whole bunch of doors.
I can hear. It don't sound like you in the wind. It sound like you on the radio.
Okay, I'm good. Okay. All right. Well, as long as we good, I can talk then. Hey, look, man. Hey, I feel good today. Eagles lost.
Yeah.
I dreaded yesterday, but they lost. I don't mind watching the morning shows, but hey, man, as far as Dan Quinn talking about the tackler, man, I bet them guys don't want to tackle him, man. You got a small line out there, man, and the boys got all them holes coming at them, man. So you get worn down, man. You know, you start to take bad angles. You know, your mind kind of clouded. So, you know, hey, that's what happened when you don't match kind of like match power with power, man, so to say. Sure. But you know, I just feel like Dan Quinn got to just kind of get out of that. Like you said, I don't know if next game is the game to kind of take Michael, put Micah at linebacker. Maybe some packages with him there. But think about it, man. You know, we light at the linebacker. This kind of makes me think about that day, man, when we let Devin Harper go. And, I feel like that's the guy we could have kept.
Sure. I mean, I don't know if he saves you, but at the very least, you have some depth, you know.
Can you hear me?
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
You breaking up, man. Let's get your closing. Oh, he gone. I guess that tornado got him. That tornado. Ain't that what y'all call it down here in Texas, Oklahoma? tornado. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Devin, will save you, but like we just said, at least it gives you some depth of a real linebacker. You don't have that, and it doesn't always come back to bite you, right? But it did in this game. It did earlier in the season. It did a few times, but it's all about learning and adjusting. You're never done doing that, in my opinion. You're never done learning and adjusting throughout the season. I did a show a while back, and in the thumbnail, it says something along the lines of that, like building blocks, right? Like in the middle of the year. Somebody was like, well, you shouldn't be having to do building blocks in week 8 or whatever. Like, no, that's a lie. Hey, you're not completely who you are in week 7 or 8 of the season in week 15. And in week 15, you're not done learning about your team, because if you're going to the tournament, if you're done and you're packed up and see you at home, you're not done. You need to learn and you need to adjust. And this was a game. And did I expect the Cowboys to, because somebody had said this a few weeks ago, or not a few weeks ago, a few days ago. Do you realize if the Cowboys won out the rest of the regular season, and to win the Super Bowl, they would have had to win 13 games in a row? I was like, damn, that's a feat that they haven't done in a long time. I don't even know if they've ever done it. But they would have had to win 13 games in a row. So, realistically, did we expect them to sweep this gauntlet aspect? No, at this moment, they're 2-1. For me, it's not about losing to Buffalo. It's a tough team. We talked about it, tried to talk to y'all about this is a good team. It's about the how that was more annoying. But Mike McCarthy said something very interesting. They asked him, is this a burn the tape type of game? He said, no, it's never burn the tape. Growth Monday is a real thing, win or lose, right? It's never about burning the tape. He said, I personally think it's more difficult to sustain success, get our players, or not our players, but just people in general, to learn how to sustain the success than it is to bounce back from getting embarrassed. I said, that's fair. This is easy to bounce back from mentally. This doesn't change our Monday. You got your ass whooped. You got embarrassed and bullied and beat down. Again, like I said, you go pop on it. There's not a whole lot of details to get into. They kept it simple. They completed 7 passes. They ran the ball down your throat. Pause. Defensively for the Bills, wasn't anything crazy. They did the same stuff we seen on film last week. You stopped running the rock, didn't block it up well in instances, and you couldn't get open because they played good defense. There was nothing complicated about this game. You just got whooped. Now you bounce back. The Cowboys have not lost consecutive games since 2021. Doesn't guarantee anything. It does tell you that this is a resilient group that knows how to bounce back. It's going to be a tough one, though, right? In Miami on the road, where Cowboys have not been great, it's going to be a tough one down there in Miami. At the same time, the Eagles lost 3 games in a row, and our guy Drew Lock,
Send them running straight back to the dealership. Me, I'm in my spaceship. That's right, I work for NASA. This 7H is not a fraud. Call that my bodyguard. Call that the bodyguard. Yeah, that's my bodyguard. Wear a lot of jewelry. Young don't do security. It's whiter than a napkin, harder than a dinner plate. If you want it, come and get it. You know I stay super straight.
You shouldn't have been talking shit.
So let's not be like Philly, Let's not be like Philly. Let's go out here next week, handle some business. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about this Miami game. I'm not sure which way to go because I'm going to be real honest with y'all. Somebody said in the chat, I think it was Miss Jackie. Shout out to you, Miss Jackie. Mike McDaniel's my guy. I will quite literally study their whole offense all week. Y'all know me by now. I'm a huge fan of concepts. I love a creative offense. I love watching a good team execute that. They got one over there. They got the players, they got the concepts, they got the coach, and it's really fun to study. But on the other hand, they got a coordinator over there on the defense side of the ball that I'm also a fan of. I wouldn't say he's my favorite defensive coordinator or anything like that, especially after what he did to the Cowboys. But Vic Fangio, who is the blueprint, pioneer, as they say, but this was against a different offense nonetheless, kind of plays a similar scheme where they want to change the picture up. They count on a very smart secondary, and they got some smart guys, but got some good dudes. So I don't know which one. It'll be a surprise for y'all which side of the ball we'll study. Both sides are going to be a fun study. Both sides are going to be challenging. But as we do every Wednesday, Thursday, we'll break it all down, me and Okoye. So make sure y'all tune in. Let's get to some super chats on the way out. It's a very petty day for me, but I don't care. Say misery loves company. I'm not miserable no more. I really wasn't miserable after the loss, but shouldn't have been talking shit. All right, what's today's date? All right, I got a couple of them. Cool. Bachman, Tyler, Overdrive. Appreciate the super chat. Says Dallas doesn't lose back-to-back games. We just talked about that. Every loss is a valuable lesson. Keep up the great content. We still them boys. Thank you, BTO. It's been a while. It's been a while since the Cowboys lost back-to-back. You're right, BT. But this one gonna be tough. This one, and we talked about it a bit yesterday. Mondays are for the emotions. Tuesdays is for the why, like what happened, win or lose. And then Wednesday we just study the next opponent. This one, to me, again, kind of similar to last week. This is a toss-up game, but it's about the how. It is about the how in this one. I mean, I thought it was. You need to get out with the dub, no doubt about it. Getting out with the dub, whether you blow them out or you lose, so you blow them out or it's a close game, is the most important in getting out healthy. But the Cowboys need to put on a good showing. They need to know that, hey, we can go on the road against a good team and get out of here with the victory. And if not, we damn sure going to drag you down with us. You're going to need a miracle to get the type of victory, right? It's a big one for the psyche. It's not a big one for NFC record. It's not a kind of a big one for standings, right? But you don't play Miami. You won't play them again. You only will see them in the Super Bowl if you meet them there. So, but this is for you. You got to bounce back. We'll see how they bounce back. Los dropped 2.
Super chat.
Let me know he was in the chat and that he was going, have an extra question. I think. Appreciate you, Los. Shouts out to my guy, Medi Matt, walk-ons. Make sure y'all come through. Y'all wasn't out. Oh, we're not going to be there, by the way. No walk on Sunday. I'll let you guys know more about that. No walk on Sunday. It's a holiday, Christmas Eve. So we'll be at home. They're closing early, so we won't even be able to be out there. So no walk-ons.
Super chat.
Still them boys dropped 5. He said, Micah as an edge rusher in a game where the ops only throws 15 passes is crazy. # put that man at linebacker. We talked about it, but they didn't pull the trigger. It's like when he said I had the challenge flag, and we're good. Yeah, man. Fupa chat is wild. Y'all crazy, man. Good one today. Malcolm Bryan and my CKEY. So if y'all don't know, I call the Eagles offense the Mickey Mouse offense. That's a good one. It is the Mickey Mouse offense, man. 100%. Yeah, this one. There we go. Come on back later on. Me and Vach will be on. I think we're moving on to Miami, so we're not even going to talk about film from the Bills game. We kind of talked about that yesterday. So make sure y'all tune in. We're moving straight to Miami again. I don't know which side, but I'm probably just knowing my biases towards Mike McDaniels. I'll probably go study offense. I'm probably going to watch the offense here after we get off air. I'll wrap to Okoye, let y'all know. But we'll be talking about the Miami game. It's time to move forward. We got a big one for the Cowboys, so make sure y'all come through on the volume. I'm sorry, on Vox Lombardi Live. We're underneath the volume, but it's Vox Lombardi Live. It's the YouTube channel. And then Mo will be back on A to Z Sports Prime Time. He'll be rocking. So make sure y'all come back and tune in with Mo. He keeps doing fantastic work. He's kind of a big deal here in A to Z. You know, he's our lead writer. He has his own show. He's doing a lot of good things here. Make sure y'all support him. We want to thank 2i for coming in, dropping in and giving us her take. DallasCowboys.com. Make sure y'all check her out. We got Tyler Smith coming on .com for their show. Again, almost said Jigsaw. Girls Talk, Boys Talk on her show. Tyler Smith will be there today, so make sure y'all go through, check her out. With that said, I kind of want to.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
Should I go out? Forget it. Let's go ahead and do it, baby.
Send them running straight back to the dealership. Me, I'm in my spaceship. That's right, I work for NASA. This FNH is not a fraud. Call that my bodyguard. Call that the bodyguard.
Yeah, that's my bodyguard.
Wear a lot of jewelry. Young don't do security. What's whiter than a napkin? Harder than a dinner plate. If you want it, come and get it. You know I stay super straight.
Love y'all. We out. Peace.
Squad!